The Pixel People Pod. Zap, 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 it's on. Rewind the future fraud. The Pixel People Pod.
Yes, it is. Another exciting edition of the Pixel People Pod. I'm Greg, by the way, and joining me this week is Jen. Say hello, Jen.
Hello, Jan.
And on third chair tonight, we have a celebrity. It's the great-great-great-great-grandson of Helen Keller, Bob Keller. He doesn't talk much, so you won't hear him, but he's here. Jen's rolling her eyes. This week, this episode is called Pause and Rewind, and the pause is P-A-W-S. And I'll let Jan explain to you why that is.
Well, since my daughter Cassie passed away in 2021, we have had her beloved fur baby Piper living with us.
Yes.
She's our baby now.
Yes.
And I looked over Monday evening, and she was nestled on Greg's leg, just as happy as she could be. And I thought we should do an episode devoted to our favorite friends, our fur friends from the 80s.
This episode, we've put together 10 of our favorite animal actors from television and movies from the 1980s. But, of course, before we do that, we have some segments. So the first one, Jan's Gnarly News.
Here we go. Jan's Gnarly News. Jan's Gnarly News.
Hit us with that news, Jan.
Gnarly news for November 13th. Greg, you're going to love this one.
Okay.
November 13th, 1981, Porky's premiered.
I love that movie.
I know you do.
Well, okay, let me preface that. I love that movie. It takes me back to simpler times when I love stuff like that. But as I've gotten older, I've turned on that movie a little bit because when I used to watch it, I was all about, yeah, them Angel Beach Boys sticking to that Porky. How dare he? But I watched it again the other year with Jan, and when it was over, I'm thinking, they destroyed Porky's business and literally destroyed it. They tore it to pieces. All because he wouldn't let a bunch of underage boys drink and hook up with prostitutes at his bar. As an adult now, I'm like, you kids are jerks. You ruined the guy's livelihood. So, but it's still a great movie, though.
As if we needed further proof that you're turning into an old man.
Yes, I know. It's but that movie, you couldn't make it today. And I have the Blu-ray of it. I bought the Blu-ray like 10 years ago. I had the DVD, so I bought the Blu-ray, and they do not transfer it very well. The picture quality is very poor. I doubt I'll ever get the 4K of that one. I'll keep the Blu-ray.
Maybe someone will re-release it.
Doubtful. I think it's like, I was looking the other day for Revenge of the Nerds, because eventually we're going to do a movie review episode, and I was planning on doing Revenge of the Nerds first, and I was looking to see where it was streaming, and it's not streaming anywhere. You can't even rent it. You can buy a digital copy, but you can't rent it. It's hard to find copies of that movie, and I think they're kind of doing away with Revenge of the Nerds because for the reasons what I was going to bring in on the podcast, so I will save that for later. But
maybe we can hold out hope that a movie theater will bring it in.
Yeah, you mean like the New State Cinema in Newton?
Exactly.
Yes, the New State Cinema in Newton. Buy local, go there instead of the AMC. Our friend Brad. Support him and Alan.
All right, November 13th, 1981, Def Leppard released their single, Bringing on the Heartbreak.
That's a good song.
You know I love it.
Yeah.
I love any Def Leppard.
Yeah, that's one of your bands right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
November 13th, 1982, Men at Work started a 15-week run at number one on the U.S. album chart with their debut album, Business as Usual.
Oh, yeah. They were the number one album for that long?
Yes.
Oh,
it went on to sell 5 million copies in the U.S.
Yeah, it's a good run. Good band. They're out touring right now.
November 13th, 1982, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was dedicated in Washington.
That's a big deal.
It has over 58,000 U.S. soldiers' names on it.
Yeah. Something I'd like to visit one day.
I would too.
Drove past it, but didn't get to stop.
November 13th, 1983, Hendrick Motorsports was officially announced with Jeff Bodine as their driver.
Boo.
Do you know what they had originally called their sports team?
I don't know what.
All-Star Racing.
Really? Either way, Rouse Racing is better. So. Yeah, that Hendrick, pretty big thing right now. Him and Penske have to speak in the NASCAR lawsuit right now. So who knows? The whole Hendrick Motorsports and NASCAR could be coming down here pretty soon. We never know.
Time will tell.
Yes, it will.
November 13th.
Only time will tell if they'll stand the test of time, Jan. The worst lyric ever written by my man, Sammy Hagar.
And how Greg knows that he can make me laugh even when I'm having a terrible day is to say those lyrics. November 13th, 1983, Junior Samples passed away. Do you remember Junior Samples?
Junior Samples from Hee Haw.
Yes.
Oh, poor Junior.
He was on Hee Haw for 14 years.
Wow.
His
Yeah,
real
that's-
name was Alvin Samples Jr.
Yeah, that show ran a long time.
November 13th, 1984, Foreigner released their ballad, I Want to Know What Love Is.
Ooh, that is funny you bring that up because that plays into one of my errors and corrections. So, very good.
We'll find that out later.
It's on Foreigner 4 album.
And on this day, November 13th, 1984, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go was on top of the singles chart.
It was a good song.
Yes, it was.
That was on our list last week. Wow. Should have pushed it to this week and it could have some synergy right
It
there.
stayed on top for several weeks.
Yeah.
November 13th, 1984, Chicago Cubs second baseman Ryan Sandberg was selected National League's MVP.
Good player.
He was
Didn't
the first Cub to capture that award since Ernie Banks
He
in
just
1959.
passed away, didn't he?
I don't know.
I think he passed away in the last year. Yeah, he did. Like a legend right there. Yeah, even though I wasn't a Cubs fan, growing up, you knew who Ron Sandberg was.
Yeah, everybody knew that name.
Yeah.
Here's us a good movie to watch
Okay.
on this day
Besides
in 1986. Yeah, besides that one.
Uh-huh.
This day in 1986, The Wraith premiered in theaters,
The Wraith.
which I have not watched. Putting it on our list.
Is it a horror movie?
I'm not sure.
Kind of has to be with that name, don't you think? The Wraith.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's that other thing we watched that has got a wraith in it?
Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Yeah, the TV show.
Yeah.
It was all right. The Wraith was a car. It made no sense to me, but okay, whatever. So,
On this date in 1987, American dystopian action film The Running Man premiered,
good movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. November 13th, 1988, Martina Navratilova defeated Chris Everett 6-2, 6-2.
Those two going against each other were like the entire 80s. They were the two big female tennis stars.
It was an
Yeah.
epic rivalry, and
Yeah, there
she claimed her 80th and final match.
Who?
Martina did that
Wow.
day when she beat Chris Everett.
Thought she stuck around longer than that. I didn't realize
It was
that
her
true.
80th and final match against Chris Everett.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm thinking. I thought she went into the 90s. I used to like to watch a lot of tennis. I don't watch a lot now, but in the 80s I liked tennis.
I
You
did
played
too. I
tennis.
played it.
Yeah.
November 13th, 1989, Duran Duran released Decade, their first greatest hits album, which I listened to in its entirety twice today.
I had that on CD.
It was
in
a
the
great
90s.
album.
Yeah.
November 13th, 1989, Whitesnake released Fool for Your Lovin'. I also listened to some Whitesnake today.
Why did you see that?
Because David Coverdale is finally
Yes,
retiring.
he finally announced his retirement. It was pretty much known for the last couple of years, but he's one of the few that actually realized I can't sing anymore and I'm done.
Yeah.
A guy named Bon Jovi should pay attention to that, but he won't.
Not in the 80s, but Canadian rocker Aldo Nova was born on this day, November
There's another one.
13th,
That's
1956.
Another one of Jan's guys. She loves her some Aldo Nova. I like that one song. This is how, as much as I love music and know a lot of music stuff, I really never listened to Aldo Nova other than the song Fantasy. So I thought forever that Aldo Nova was a band name. Then Jan corrected me like a year or two ago, going, no, that's the guy's name, Aldo Nova. It's a single guy. I did not know that. And she's made me listen to a lot of Aldo Nova.
The whole album is great.
Yeah.
Not a bad song on there.
He's no Rush, but, Okay.
Or Bryan Adams,
Yeah.
since we're talking about Canadians.
Yeah.
On this date, 1955, Whoopi Goldberg was born. Also born on this date, 1953, Tracy Scoggins was born. Do you know who that is?
Who is Tracy Scoggins?
She was Monica Colby on Dynasty.
Oh, really? I didn't watch Dynasty.
You didn't watch
I was a
Dynasty?
Dallas person. I didn't watch Dynasty. Dynasty
Oh,
was
goodness.
ABC, I think, and I was a CBS guy. So.
And there you have Jan's Gnarly News.
Oh, gnarly!
All right. Which your news leads into another segment. So your news leads into the next segment.
It's time for errors and corrections, 'cause Greg screwed up again.
Not necessarily screw-ups this week, but some stuff that I even brought up last week on a podcast saying I will catch that up next week on Errors and Corrections. The first one was we were trying to think of the Pointer Sisters song that we were talking about. We were talking about the Pointer Sisters. And the song we couldn't remember was called Automatic. And we remembered it after the podcast, but for the life of us, we couldn't figure the name. But go back and listen to Automatic, because what got us talking about that song was a month or two ago, we were eating that mellow mushroom, and that song came on over the speaker system there. And I was like, man, I haven't heard this song in a long time. And I was like, who is this? I couldn't place it. And I was like, I heard this song. I loved this song as a kid, but I don't know who this is. So we Shazammed it, and it was the Pointer Sisters. And I'm like, well, who's the guy singing Automatic? You know, it's like, so we looked it up, and it's Ruth Pointer singing that. And it turns out But they picked that song to sing off a demo that was given to them, and they were like, well, you got to get a guy to sing the low part. And she goes, no, I'll sing the low part. And that was her. It was Ruth Pointer singing the part that you think is a guy. It's Ruth Pointer. So the other thing was, we talked about Every Breath You Take, and I said something that Sting had made gazillions of dollars off Puff Daddy sampling that song. Well, I know exactly how much, sort of, now, because looked it up. Sting said in 2017 he got $2,000 a day from that song, because turns out Puff Daddy didn't license that song when he put his song I'll Be Missing You out. So it came out, was this huge hit, and Sting is like, dude, you literally stole my entire song for this. So Puff Daddy had to cut a deal afterwards, after the song got big, and the royalty rights on it like that. So Sting, I figured, I did the math, that Puff Daddy song came out in 97. If you took the $2,000 a day, roughly split it in half, he still made over $10 million off Puff Daddy.
Only $10 million.
Yeah, but I figure that song, the last several years is probably not being played much anymore. Yeah, he did well by Puff Daddy stealing his song. And I was talking about bands that shared royalties equally, and I said there was a band, a big band, I couldn't remember who it was, but the split everything perfect, or 25, 25, 25, 25. It's U2. They have no problems. They don't infight. All the guys get along together because they decided when they started, even though Bono and them wrote most of the music, everybody's getting 25%. We're not going to fight over it. And they stayed together, all four of the guys. And the last thing I brought up was I said that Thomas Dolby, we was talking about Blind Me with Science, I said he's done a lot of stuff with other bands. And I looked it up, and yes, a couple albums. And they tie into this, oddly. Jan and I didn't plan this. It just worked this way. He played all the synthesizers and parts of the keyboards on the Foreigner 4 album, which, if you know Urgent, has that awesome keyboard synthesizer part. That's Thomas Dolby playing that. I Want to Know What Love Is. That's him doing a lot of the synthesizer and keyboards on it. And he also played the keyboards on Def Leppard's Pyromania album. And he played the synthesizer and keyboards on Belinda Carlisle's song Heaven is a Place on Earth, which went to #1. So
Talented man.
yeah, he's played with a lot of people, David Bowie and other people too, but those were a couple of the big ones. So anyway, that's it for errors and corrections. Let's go ahead and get to the topic of this week's episode. As we said, pause and rewind. PAWS.
Pun intended.
Yes. So we decided it has to be a real animal. It can't be a cartoon. And of course, my main guy was going to be Chewbacca, but Jan says that's not a real animal, so I couldn't use Chewbacca.
But don't worry, if your favorite animated furry friend didn't make our list today, we're going to do a separate list just devoted to those creatures.
The podfather, Chris, when he found out this was the episode today, told me he liked Tennessee Tuxedo from the 80s. I said, well, that is a cartoon animal, and we'll talk about him on another episode.
We will.
So shout out to Chris again this week. We're missing him. You want to do your first one, Jan? We're going to trade off?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite furry friend on a movie from the 80s has to be Nanook. Nanook from the Lost Boys.
Oh, yes. The dog from the Lost Boys.
And we all remember that 1987 American comedy horror film. This was the first time the two Corys, Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, were in a movie together.
Wouldn't be the last.
It's centered around two teenage brothers, Michael and his younger brother Sam, moved to California with their divorced mother Lucy to live with Grandpa, this eccentric old man. They didn't realize they were moving to the murder capital of the world, which was also a vampire haven. So
never saw that movie until Jan made me watch it several years ago, and I liked it. I will point out that I think I had the same reaction, 40 years after it came out, that most people did with their, what is up with the saxophone guy right in the middle of the thing just playing at a party on the beach?
We're not here to talk about the saxophone guy.
Okay.
We're here to talk about this dog.
Well, I saw the saxophone guy, by the way. It was at some Comic-Con last week, shirtless with his saxophone, and making thousands of dollars, people getting their picture took with him. So,
don't hate.
I'm not hating.
So Sam becomes friends with the Frog Brothers, who are self-proclaimed vampire hunters, which turns out to be a good thing, because Michael becomes drawn to Star and her friends, which leads him into a life of becoming a vampire. But in steps Nanook to save the day. He's the star of the show. Normally it doesn't work out well in horror movies with pets.
Yes.
It usually doesn't end well. But in this case it does. Sorry if I'm giving this movie away to anybody. But Nanook is Sam's companion and watches over him. And when Michael starts to turn into a vampire, Sam is in the bathroom and Nanook is laying right beside of him. And Michael walks in thinking maybe he's going to get some blood from Sam, his brother. But Nanook has other plans and stops it. Nanook also becomes a hero when he pushes one of the bad guys, one of the vampires, into a bathtub of holy water, which saves the Frog Brothers.
What kind of dog was Nanook?
Nanook was an Alaskan Malamute. His real name was Cody,
Cody.
and he was born in 1984.
Cody's a better name. So.
He also performed as Wolf on Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman.
Really?
Yes.
What year was that movie? What year was The Lost Boys?
87.
Okay.
So he had a great life.
He had a great life, but not as great as the one I'm fixing to mention. Flash, the lovable basset hound from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Who doesn't love a basset hound?
Exactly. Boss Hogg didn't, because Flash was always helping the Duke boys passively thwart Boss Hogg's plan a lot of times. But anyway, growing up watching Flash on the Dukes of Hazzard, it didn't take me too long before I realized there's more than one basset hound playing Flash, because you would watch it and then all of a sudden you realize, well, this Flash looks smaller than the one from that I normally know. Or
And as a kid, you realized that.
yes,
I did not
the
realize
colors
that.
were different, and then at some point, Flash goes from being a boy to a girl. So I was reading, Flash was portrayed by several basset hounds, and it says in the Dukes of Hazzard write-up, distinguishable by different facial colors. But the most regular one that there was in there was called, her real name was Sandy. And Flash was added at the start of the third season after James Best, Roscoe P. Coltrane, suggested to the producers that Roscoe should have a dog. So Roscoe, if you think about it, if you watch Dukes of Hazzard, at the start of the series, they made it out on there, he was an honest cop. And Boss Hogg was so dirty that Roscoe had to start doing dirty things to make money, because Boss was so evil. But he was like more of a rough Southern cop. And then all of a sudden they just turned him into this goofy, over-the-top cop. And I guess Flash helped along with that persona. But, you really liked Roscoe as bad as he was. He was the one, I think, he was as lovable as the Duke boys were on there. But Flash first appeared on Ena's Straight to the Top episode. But they never introduced the dog in that show. It just showed up. But initially, Flash was referred to as a boy, but then later on, Flash is referred to as a girl. So they just didn't keep any continuity as far as Flash went.
Did they even care?
No, apparently not. James Best actually helped buy Sandy. He was a rescue dog, because they thought a basset hound would be the perfect dog, because people love basset. And so Sandy lived to age 14. Now, they had some of the other ones, but I never got the names of those. But here's a little quick trivia thing. When they had to do some dangerous episodes where, like, you didn't want to put a dog into that position, they had a stuffed basset hound, and his name was Flush. Cut, bring on the Flush.
Flush to plush.
Yeah, exactly. What else you got there, Jen? You got one?
Oh, my next one is Snots from
Snots.
Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
He's Cousin Eddie's dog.
Yes, the Rottweiler.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course, we know that Christmas Vacation from 1989 was like a slapstick comedy. It was their third film from National Lampoon Vacation film series. It starred Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, and Randy Quaid.
Yes, and Juliette Lewis.
Yes.
And the guy from Big Bang Theory. I can't remember his name. He was from Roseanne, too, I think.
So Clark is determined to have a good old family Christmas with all of his family coming over, and then Cousin Eddie shows up with his dog Snots. Snots is played by Muffin.
Muffin?
Muffin.
Didn't see that coming. As
I didn't either. He does not
No.
look like a muffin.
No.
But I never could find out definitively what Muffins was.
Yeah.
Some say mixed breed. Some others were saying bull mastiff. So
He's a
I'm not
Rottweiler.
sure.
I mean, it looked like a Rottweiler.
I don't know. I had such conflicting reports on trying to find out what Snot's breed was.
Well, Matt had a Rottweiler, and that dog looked exactly like Matt's Rottweiler, so I think it's a Rottie. So
The dog doesn't really play a major character. He just helps play into the comedic part of the movie.
Right.
And the quirkiness of the Griswolds and everything that happened. Some of my favorite lines about Snots in the movie. Cousin Eddie, when he's introducing Snots to the family, when he pulls up in his RV.
Yeah.
He says, "There's our pride and joy, Snots." He also discusses with Chevy Chase how the dog Snots has a little Mississippi leghound in him. Cousin Eddie also said in the movie, "Roll over, Snots, and let your Uncle Clark scratch your belly." One scene around the dinner table, Clark asks, "What's wrong with the dog?" "Oh, he's just yakking on a bone." I still say that to this day. When somebody's coughing or something, I say, "Oh, they're just yakking on a bone."
Yeah.
You also have to love Snots when he's in the scene. He's under the Christmas tree drinking all the water out of the Christmas tree. My favorite scene, though, with Snots is when he breaks through the door, chasing the squirrel that had been hidden in the Christmas tree. And the next several scenes are the whole family running up the stairs, the whole family running down the stairs, and they're just running through the house. And all this chaos with this dog knocking over everything on the table and knocking over the china hutch and just pure chaos. And then all of a sudden, Clark has a chance to open the front door and let the squirrel run out. And who's standing there but Julia Louis-Dreyfus,
Right.
their neighbor, their uppity neighbor.
Yeah, uppity neighbor. Yeah.
Yes.
The yuppie.
So the squirrel lands on her face, and right behind the squirrel is Snots jumping all over her.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That dog had a bigger
perfect
role in
scene.
that movie. If you think about it, had a really big part of that movie.
He added so much to the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My next one is Buck the dog. Originally named Mike. Everyone remember Buck the dog as the Bundy's dog on Married with Children. I love that dog. Buck, I love that. I wanted that dog so bad. That long, furry, haired, that style of dog just was made for movies and television. So I looked him up. Like I say, his original name was Mike. He was owned and trained by Stephen Ritt and appeared in 177 episodes of the show. He was born in 1983. And around 85, 86, his handler answered an ad in the LA Times for a purebred Briard. That's how I pronounce it. I don't know if that's right, but Briard or Briard. But that's the kind of dog he was. But before he got on Married with Children, he was in Janet Jackson's music video for When I Think of You. So I'm going to have to look that up. I meant to do it today, but I want to see Buck the dog in a Janet Jackson video.
Yeah.
Mike the dog.
I want to see that too.
Then he showed for Married with Children later on. He was also in the movie Scrooged. So as much as I don't like... We tried to watch Scrooge again the other year, and I remember liking it when it came out, but I don't know, it don't hold up to me now. I'll probably get hate mail for that, but I'll have to watch it now at Christmas this year just for
Send
Buck.
all letters, attention, Greg Cook, not
I
Jan.
have to watch Buck on Scrooge. But when he was about 12 and a half, he started having vision problems, and so they retired him from the show. And they killed him off on the show, but they just retired him in real life. And the episode of Season 10, third episode, was titled Requiem for a Dead Briard. He dies and gets sent to doggy heaven, and he's finally away from the bunnies and enjoying this wonderful life. And he gets reincarnated and sent back to Earth into the body of the new dog at the Bundy's house, Lucky. And I remember when that came out, it was so funny when I watched that episode, because he's like up in doggy heaven on a cloud, and he's like, oh, it's finally, I made it and all this stuff. And then next thing you know, he's back in the Bundy house. And he's, no, not again. He's miserable. So I think everybody loved Buck. I mean, he added a lot to that show, and he really didn't. He just laid around in the show, but he added a lot to it just by laying around. He was, beloved by everyone. He passed away in real life in 1996. He lived a good long life. So big ups to Buck.
I'm always glad to hear when these dogs have a good life.
Yeah, every dog. I think every animal we'll talk about tonight probably had a good long life. So
My next favorite is Harvey, the dog from E.T.
See, I haven't seen E.T. in 30 years, so I don't remember a dog in that movie. So we'll have to put
to
that
me,
on
he was a pretty important part of it, because, well, okay, we all know that E.T. is about an alien that gets stranded on Earth, and Elliot finds him and takes him home like every kid would do. And I remember when this movie came out, we all wanted our own little E.T. We wanted to take him in and nurture him.
I think I just wanted my own box of Reese's Pieces. I don't know if I wanted an E.T.
So Elliot finally introduces E.T. to his brother and his little sister. And, of course, his little sister is played by Drew Barrymore.
I've got to watch that movie, because the only thing I remember in that movie is the alien, the Reese's Pieces thing, and then at the end when he's phone home, or I don't remember anything about that movie. I might be the
Add
only...
it to our list.
Yeah, we've got to watch that movie here soon.
I'll rewatch that movie anytime.
Okay.
I made sure... I know Janlin has seen it, but I'm not sure.
Janlin loves it,
Yeah.
and we've got to watch that, because I've got to freshen up on E.T. The dog, I don't remember a dog in that movie, so I definitely
So one of
have
the
to
first
watch it.
scenes, they're trick-or-treating together in their little neighborhood.
Yeah.
And Harvey is walking with them, protecting them as they go trick-or-treating. When he first meets E.T., he growls. But then it becomes this curious thing, just picture a dog with its head sideways, like our dog does all the time.
All the time.
And he follows E.T. into the kitchen, just very inquisitive, wanting to know what this creature is going to do in his house. So E.T. gets the refrigerator open, tries some potato salad, and is like, ew, throws it on the ground. So Harvey instantly falls in love with him because he gets to eat this potato salad that this creature did not want. And then E.T. goes in for the beer and starts drinking beer out of the fridge. And the dog looks at him like, oh, I wouldn't do that. He actually barks at him as if to say, this isn't going to turn out well. Don't drink the beer. But it doesn't stop him. He still drinks the beer.
We're gonna watch that movie this weekend now.
Okay.
Next week I'll give a quick review of it. But I don't remember that. So
And then the saddest scene in the whole movie
when he runs
it
out
involves
of Reese's
Harvey.
Pieces.
No,
okay.
it involves Harvey.
Yeah.
E.T. is finally getting to go home, finally getting to get on his spaceship. And they're all saying their goodbyes. And in runs Harvey. It almost looks like he's going to go into the spaceship with E.T. But he turns around and just watches E.T. leave. And it's the saddest thing in a movie that I've ever seen.
Really? You never watched Old Yeller?
I blocked that one out of my memory.
I can't. I watched that movie as a kid a lot, and I couldn't watch it as an adult now for anything.
But they picked this golden retriever to be in this movie.
What kind of dog
They
was
picked
it?
him perfectly. I mean, he was a perfect role because he kind of had this sad look about him when he needed to be sad, but he had a happy look when he needed to be happy. So it was a perfect fit.
Yeah, you've watched movies and TV shows with animals in it and realize that those animals have spent a lot of time training to get to look to like they're just normal pets. There's a lot of work goes into making them look like they don't stand out, you know.
I couldn't find any information on what happened to Harvey, the dog from E.T.
He might still be alive.
I doubt it.
Let's pretend he is.
Maybe some of his offspring.
Yeah. Maybe he went up to space heaven with E.T.
Maybe so.
My next one was not necessarily a sitcom or movie actor, but he was big in advertising. That would be the one and only Spuds MacKenzie. So,
We have a picture of Spuds MacKenzie on our wall in the Pixel Underground.
yes,
here.
so I'll post a picture of it later. We went to an auction specifically for that sign, and we wanted it so badly that we overbid for it. Some guy was
By
there.
about $100.
Some shark was there bidding on every piece of metal signage that they had, and we were like, Jan was looking at me saying he's not getting that. Spuds
I was
MacKenzie.
determined that Spuds was coming
and
home
normally
with
Jan's
us.
one that would talk me out of overspending, but she keeps hitting me on the leg, keep bidding. He's not getting our sign, and we got it. So
And
yeah,
he looks great down here.
I'll post a picture of it. So Spuds was known as the original party animal. He was a bull terrier, and he was marketing Bud Light beer in the late 1980s. The actual dog was a female dog. Spuds MacKenzie was a girl, and her real name was Honey Tree Evil Eye, or they called her Evie. That was her real name. I guess, you know, in those weird registered names.
Right.
But Evie was Spuds MacKenzie, a girl dog.
Okay.
So she passed away in 1993. Before that, they retired her in 1989 because people started saying Budweiser stuff is just pushing this dog out in commercials to make kids love alcohol and start drinking. So there was a big push. Even I saw Senator Strom Thurmond tried to get the character banned and everything. And finally, Budweiser just said enough with this crap, and they just retired her in '89. But they brought her back in the Super Bowl ad in 2017, and Spuds was voiced by Carl Weathers, and it was a homage to A Christmas Carol, and Spuds was a ghost who helped a man named Brian reunite with his friends. Look that commercial up on YouTube, The Return of Spuds MacKenzie. What I think about when I think of Spuds MacKenzie, besides growing up and seeing him in the TV show Futurama, there was a soft drink on there called Slurm, and that's what Fry and everybody drank. It was like the Coca-Cola. And they do an episode on Futurama where he wins the golden ticket and gets to go tour the Slurm factory. And the Slurm mascot is Slurms MacKenzie, and he's a worm, and he's the ultimate party worm. And so they turns out he's like an indentured servant, and they can't get away because they find the secret behind what makes Slurm addictive. And Slurm MacKenzie sacrifices himself to save them by telling them, I'm just so tired of partying, so very tired. And then he saves him and dies. But his catchphrase was, Whammy wham wham wazzle. And I think about Slurms MacKenzie, and it's like there's such a play on Spuds MacKenzie. It just makes me laugh now thinking about it. I have to show you that episode sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone look up that episode of
Adding that to
Futurama.
our list of
Just
things
put
we need to
Futurama
watch.
on your list anyway. That is one of the... You think you get sad when you see E.T. and all that stuff? Watch the episode of Jurassic Bark of Futurama. That will be on the cartoon animals thing. Even though it's not the 80s, I'm putting that episode on our thing because everyone should watch that sometime with their dog. People, there's a project for you to go out and watch Jurassic Bark episode of Futurama and tell me if you made it through and didn't bawl like a baby. So, all right, Jan, what's your next one?
All right, my next one is E-Buzz from Poltergeist.
E-Buzz.
The 1982 movie Poltergeist, we all know, is a story of a family that gets visited by ghosts. And at first, you kind of think the ghosts aren't really that bad, that maybe they're friendly. But
Oh,
then
no, they are not.
they are not.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually take the youngest daughter to the other side.
That's the TV one, right? She gets pulled in the television.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. The dog in this movie played a huge role. Had it not been for the dog, we wouldn't have been alerted to some of the things that happened in the movie. His name comes from a Saturday Night Live skit in which Dan Aykroyd played an art critic named E. Buzz Miller. And you probably remember that skit.
Yes.
He was a golden retriever, and he was a lifesaver for this family.
Golden Retriever and Labrador are like the two go-to dogs in a lot of movies and TV shows.
I think they are.
Especially in the 80s. Yeah.
E-Buzz is actually the first family member that we are introduced to in this movie. Because he walks up, the dad has fell asleep in the chair downstairs, and he walks up licking the dad's plate clean. E-Buzz is the very first family member that we meet.
Yes.
He is downstairs, and the dad falls asleep in the chair, and E-Buzz walks up and finishes his plate of food. Then he goes upstairs. I mean, we learn a lot from him in these very first scenes, how protective he is of his family. And he goes upstairs and checks on the mom, and he checks on the kids, and he goes in the oldest daughter's room, and she's been eating a bag of chips, and he finishes off the chips for her. He's
Sounds
such
like
a
our dog.
yeah, he's such a friendly, nice dog. But actually, E-Buzz is probably the one
How
that
come
woke
you don't
up.
say that about our dog whenever she eats some food later on? You'll see she's such a friendly, nice dog. Like, quit eating that food. So,
It's different when it's in our
okay,
house and not
yeah.
on the movie screen.
I know. Okay.
So yeah, E-Buzz wakes up the youngest daughter, Carol Ann, which leads to that whole scene where she walks downstairs and starts talking to the TV, and she wakes up the entire family, and she says, "They're here."
Yes.
Iconic scene.
Yes. Very creepy.
That next morning, E-Buzz has very odd behavior. He barks at the wall. He fetches a ball that looks like he's being told from the beyond to go fetch. He's the one that really enlightens the family that something's going on. Something weird is going on. And he alerts the paranormal investigators that Carol Ann has been sucked to the other side. I mean, he really was a lifesaver in this movie. He played a huge role in it. And then he miraculously, when all this stuff is going on, reemerges from the backyard unhurt and joins the family just as the house collapses to the ground. And
Yeah,
then,
they somebody probably told them you can't kill the dog. You know, it's like I would imagine the early drafts of that movie probably had the dog getting killed or sucked over into something, and somebody said you can't kill the dog. I think a lot of movies start off like that. And somebody goes, they do test showings, and the dog doesn't, and people be like, "What happened to the dog?" And then
Right.
like, we got to put the dog in the end bit and saved because people are not going to put up with this.
well, there's actually one scene in the movie where they send the youngest son away for a little while to protect him, and E-Buzz goes with him, and they're in a car together, and E-Buzz has got his head out the window. It's really cute.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
And then, of course, you know, they're at the end. The family has to go stay at the Holiday Inn because their house has just collapsed everywhere. But luckily, the Holiday Inn was pet friendly,
Yeah.
and E-Buzz got to go with his traumatized family.
Did they have to pay a $75 pet fee like we
I
had
don't know.
at Holiday Inn a couple months ago in
I
Southport?
don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
$75 fee would have blown a bunk. Our dog's cleaner than half the people that stayed in that Holiday Inn.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. This brings up to my next one, which is the only cat on the list. And I try to think about, I wanted to like spread it out over different kind of animals, but you really don't see hardly any cats on shows or movies. And I guess because I've had cats most of my life and they're just so hard to handle. You could train a cat, but you know, they're not going to listen to you half the time because they do what they want to do when they want to do it. It's hard to train a cat. The cat that I'm going to bring up was not a major character on this show, but it was a running gag on the show. It's Lucky the cat from Alf.
That poor cat.
Yeah. Alf, of course, everyone knows from the planet Melmac, and on Melmac, cats are a delicacy. So Alf was immediately trying to eat the cat, and they would tell him, "Stop, you don't eat the cat, that's our pet." So according to the book, The Encyclopedia of TV Pets, Lucky was played by several different cats, but the lead cat actor was named Sparks. The other cats that played Lucky were called Gordo, Fat Cat, Electra, and Sparkle. So in the book, the trainer, Sam Coulter, who worked for Frank N. Animals, explained how working on the series was a challenge. And I got to thinking about this, and he has to be right, because the cat had to get used to interacting with a puppet. I don't know how many people... Alf was one of my favorite shows, and I have several Alf things here in the Picks on the Ground, but what most people don't realize, there was a little person that was in a suit sometimes when you saw the full body Alf moving around. But most time, the Alf that you're seeing on there is a puppet. And just like Yoda in the Star Wars movies, they had to cut. The stage was a raised. The whole set was a raised set, and the puppeteer would be under the floor. They had like tracks in there, and he would be holding the puppet up, working it off a monitor. And so the cat had to be trained to look at the puppet and not look at the puppeteer that's like 3 feet under it working the puppet. Looking back on it now, I think that cat was a pretty good actor because, you can't teach a cat that, but that cat figured it out. And it always looked like it was like, playing around with Alf. Alf always called it the Luck Master. And I didn't remember this, but I've got the DVD set of Alf, but I haven't watched it in a long time. But in the 4th season, Lucky died, and they get a second cat, and it's called Lucky 2. Couldn't find a whole lot about Lucky, but I remember Alf, eventually made friends with Lucky, because maybe somebody said, maybe we can cut back on the wanting to eat the cat all the time. It's probably scaring kids.
Good for Lucky.
Yes.
All right, my next one is not a dog. Imagine that. My next one is BJ and the Bear.
Okay, hang on a minute. BJ and the Bear? This is straight from one of my heroes, Kevin Smith, from the movie Mallrats, Brody.
Man, why can't they bring back or remake good shows like BJ and the Bear? Now there's a concept I can't get enough of, a man and his monkey.
Yes, I'm with Kevin on that. We need more Man and His Monkey movies.
He was a chimpanzee. Bear was a chimpanzee.
So Bear, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that his real name?
I will tell you that.
Okay. Sorry, jumping the gun.
BJ and the Bear aired on NBC from 1979 to 1981, so a lot of people probably don't remember this show.
I do, and I would have thought it went way longer than that. As a
It
kid,
felt like it
was
did.
a
I
big
guess we
show
saw
as a
reruns
kid.
a lot.
Yeah, I guess. It seemed like a bigger show than I guess it was, but, for
The
us.
show was about an ex-NAM medic mystery-solving truck driver with his pet monkey called Bear, and he would go into small towns and solve the mystery and somehow deliver his load on time every week. They got into all kinds of adventures along the way under a pesky sheriff.
Yeah,
BJ and the Bear was a lot like Smokey and the Bandit, Every Which Way But Loose, and The Dukes of Hazzard all mixed into one.
the sheriff, did you get his name? Isn't it Sheriff Lobo?
Yes.
Yes.
He had
Claude
his own
Atkins.
spin-off show.
The Sheriff, Adventure Sheriff Lobo. Yeah, well, I think that's probably why we think of BJ and Bear around longer, because I know I watched the Sheriff Lobo show for I think it lasted many years longer than BJ and the Bear.
Bear was always doing these cute little things, and some of it was comedic, some of it was not, but he was a great sidekick for BJ, and he just added such a good element to the show. He was a 20-year-old chimpanzee
Which,
called Sam.
if you know a lot about chimps, they don't really act at 20 years old. Most chimps you see are like under 5 years. Because, they've attacked people the last several years. They're most of the ones you see on TV shows or as pets people have. They're like 5 and under, and they hit like 6 or 7. It's like you can't control them anymore, and they're very dangerous. So for him to be a 20-year-old chimp and do that show, that's pretty impressive.
Right. He was named after Bear Bryant, the football coach from the University of Alabama. But he was opinionated, and he was crazy, and he was also a beer drinker, like E.T. He was a beer drinker too. I did find one story about Sam, or the bear.
Yeah.
Later in life, he broke loose from his handler in 1982 and began to terrorize a bar. It took 5 Department of Animal Regulation officers 4 hours to catch him.
Well, there you go. Like I say, that you can't control them things when they get
But
crazy.
sadly, during this chase, Sam spilled cleaning fluid on himself and temporarily lost all of his hair.
Oh.
Yeah, but it grew back.
Yeah.
He was fine after that.
Yeah.
But I think I loved BJ and the Bear so much growing up because when we would go into town, we would go into Shelby to shop, get groceries or whatever. And there was a house on our way into town that had a pet monkey.
Oh, really?
And as a little girl, seeing a monkey in somebody's yard was the greatest thrill in the world.
Well, you're thrilling me now if I saw someone with a monkey in their yard. So.
And I would get so excited on the days that we would drive by, and my mom would say, "The monkey's out," and they would have their monkey out in the front yard. But it was usually on pretty days, no rain or anything like that.
Yeah.
And you could see that monkey climbing around and playing.
As long as that monkey never goes Bakersfield chimp on someone, it's good. So, yeah. I wonder what happened to that monkey.
I couldn't find any more information on him.
Well, they live a long time, so that, I don't know if it's still alive now, but I always liked that show too because he had a cool truck.
Yeah.
I liked his big rig. So as a kid, that was as big as any animal. It was a cool vehicle.
You like the truck, I like the monkey.
Yeah, I like the monkey too. So, okay, my last animal is Einstein, and I can probably say that name, Einstein the dog, and everybody knows what I'm talking about because that's the dog from Back to the Future. I read a lot about him, but everybody knows a whole lot about Einstein, and they know the movie, so I wasn't going to recap Back to the Future. But, Einstein was Doc's dog, and Einstein's real name was Tiger. So when Back to the Future, when they decided it was so big several years later, we're going to have to do sequels. So they came out with Back to the Future 2 and 3. He was too old to portray his character again. So they got another dog named Freddy. Tiger was too old, so they brought in Freddy. So if you watch Back to the Future and then follow up with 2 or 3, it's a different dog. And now I'm going to have to start looking and see if I can tell the differences. But, the dog's the first to time travel. I always loved that dog. That's why I like Buck, too. Those dogs that have, like, the sheepdog look. He was a sheepdog. I was reading, a lot of people, fans, they say, debate what breed he was. Some of them said he was a Briard like Buck, but most of the consensus is he was a sheepdog. That's, like say, Einstein, Buck, all those dogs of the 80s, those big shaggy dogs like that. I always wanted a dog like that. And I'm allergic to dog shit, so I couldn't have one now,
It's a good thing you don't have a dog like that.
But I would have loved to have an Einstein, yeah. So that's all I have on Einstein because I didn't do a whole lot on him because everybody knows Einstein. Jan, what's your next one?
Well, my next one is an honorable mention. It goes to the movie Turner and Hooch, 1989. Starred Tom Hanks. He was a detective named Scott, and he was working on a murder case. But the only witness they had in the murder case was the victim's dog, which was Hooch.
You've told me to watch that movie for Hooch, and I guess we'll have to now. But I know you've told me how it ends. I have a rule about movies like that, but I won't give it away. But
Turner actually had to adopt the dog in the movie because they were going to put it down. And so it created a lot of comedy in the movie and a lot of doggy slobber. The movie producers went through a lot of dog breeds and finally settled on this French Mastiff.
I always thought that was like a St. Bernard or something. But I've never seen the movie, so just from the box cover, I thought that was a St. Bernard.
Hooch's real name was Beasley.
Beasley?
Yep. And there actually is a scene in the movie where they're in the car together and it's completely improvised. They just said, roll camera. We're not going to tell the dog to do anything. You just work off what the dog does. And it turns into this great scene, which Tom Hanks said, I'm stalking out a scene of a crime with my dog Hooch. We had a car on the set which was surrounded by bungee cams, which were cameras hanging on bungee cords. And the whole thing was about what the dog does and how I react. This dog will do just about anything, and I will react. It was the hardest I've ever worked. Did you have an honorable mention?
Yes. Dinky, the dog from Vacation. The first Vacation.
The first
movie.
Vacation.
Yeah, my favorite. Well, European Vacation is right up there with it. But, yeah, Dinky was Aunt Edna's dog.
You're the only person in the world whose favorite vacation movie isn't Christmas Vacation.
No, there's a lot more like me. You just don't know them. So. I think European.
I don't know if I want to know those people.
I think European Vacation's as good as Vacation. The first one, those two, I love those movies. I like Christmas Vacation, but it's a Christmas movie. I
like Vegas Vacation too.
Yeah, I like it too. But the first two, though, I look at them as like just hilarious '80s comedies. And as funny as Christmas Vacation is, I just look at it as a Christmas movie. I don't look at it as a hilarious comedy to me. Even though it is, it's a Christmas movie that's funny. Vacation is funny. It's he pees on a picnic basket, pees all over the sandwiches, and then Clark ties him to the bumper of the car while they're packing, and poor little Pooch probably kept up for the first mile or so, and then so I remember laughing. I can remember that movie. It played on like CBS on like a Friday night, and my aunt and uncle Ralph and Debbie were over, and it was showing in the den, and everybody sitting around talking, and I remember that whole scene playing, and my dad and my uncle Ralph and them just laughing their heads off at that. And back then that's the only time you watch those movies, when they was played once a year on the networks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that dog's my honorable mention. Rest in peace, Dinky. So I guess that's gonna wrap it up this week for this episode.
We had some good furry friends.
Yeah, I forgot about Fred. One of mine I was gonna do, I forgot, was but it don't count. I didn't count it because it's 78, 79 movie was Fred from Smokey and the Bandit. He was another Basset Hound.
Yeah.
So, like I say, that'll do it, and we'll be back next week with, I think we're going to do, next week, give you a little heads up, we're going to do a 2-part episode next week. We're going to run down the top 10 grossing movies of the 1980s, and next week's episode will be number 10 through 6. And then Thanksgiving, more editing I got to do. And then Thanksgiving night, the second part will drop with the top 5 highest grossing movies of the 1980s. And
Don't say you weren't warned.
Right. That's going to be a little teaser because coming up here, we'll probably push it till after Christmas. Once a month now, there's going to be one episode we do where we pick an 80s movie, and us and a guest will talk about that movie and talk about seeing it in the 80s and what it meant to us and how it stands up today, and could you make that movie today? And so this will be like once a month after, starting in 2026, there'll be like the Pixel People Pod movie talk. So look forward to that. And I guess that'll do it for this week. Jan, you got anything to say?
Thank goodness for furry friends.
Exactly.
Shine on.
The Pixel People Paws. Zap, 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 it's on. Rewind the future fraud. The Pixel People Pod.
那很气。